Bullshit man had said he's just found out that I'm living in exile in Russia, and wants a quick explanation of why. Basically, I was targeted in New Zealand by domestic agencies and then by international agencies. The targeting started off with break-ins and horrible, nasty things happening to me, sabotage of my belongings, my property, my relationships, my career, etc., etc., etc. It got so bad that during the 2014 election, when I was covering when Snowden was appearing in New Zealand with Kim.com, Julian Assange, and others, that there were several attempts on my life. So I'd been involved in a number of big New Zealand movements. One of those movements that I was heavily involved in was a direct effort against the GCSB, the spy agency in New Zealand, and they retaliated by trying to take me out of the equation. Fortunately for me, it didn't work, but it was made clear to me that if I didn't get the hell out of New Zealand, that I was not going to live to see another day. So I basically heeded the advice and left. I went to Berlin and had a great community, tech community there. However, I continued to be aggressively targeted while I lived in Berlin. There was horrific tactics being used against me. I'm a single mum with 2 kids. It was affecting my children as well. And it was just, we were simply not safe in Germany. I moved into Eastern Europe from Germany, and as soon as I got out of the sphere of the NATO countries, the targeting stopped. I'm still targeted online and still obviously monitored and whatnot, but I have been physically okay since I've been in Russia and in Eastern European countries. So that's why I'm in Russia. It's not like for any ideological reason. It's actually just purely because the countries that have not yet been subjugated by this global mafia of the intelligence agencies are the last place where people like me who have taken serious stands and really committed our lives to taking a stand against the egregious spying, it's really the last place that we can be safe. And, I mean, still, maybe I won't be safe in Russia, I don't know, but I've been able to live more normally here and more peacefully here than I was able to in any of the countries. After I left New Zealand, I bunny hopped my way across the world, and I literally had teams of agents trailing me across every country I went through. So my only hope at having a semi-normal existence was to get out of the NATO sphere. So yeah, that's the short version on why I'm currently living in exile. Basically, my country is a playground for the Five Eyes spies. International agencies and private for-profit agencies operate with total impunity in New Zealand. The police services completely not only failed to protect me, but openly told me to my face that as long as I was involved in activism, that's what was going to happen to me. If you can't get protection from the state that you live in, then you have to go to another state. There's basically no choice. Yeah, I hope it is, thank God for Russia, but then sure enough, they're targeting Russia too now. Thank you, Shining Star, that's really kind. Thank you. Frosty buckets, that's true to a certain extent, that a high profile gives you better visibility and visibility gives you some protection, but never forget that Michael Hastings, who East Slider just mentioned, was speaking to 2 million people, 5 million people at a time on CNN and MSNBC, and he was blown up, on a Los Angeles boulevard. So while being high visibility gives you some protection, they do not want you to speak to audiences that large. That puts you on the shit list very, very fast. The scariest factor for me is that if you're a Western journalist and you are killed, practically nobody will admit it. Reporters Without Borders and all of these press freedom agencies will not advocate for you. You will not even be acknowledged as having been killed for your work. I mean, the case of Michael Hastings is a great example of that. So is the case of Serena Shim. These are both journalists who were killed for the work that they were doing, but who the press freedom organizations want to pretend didn't exist. You know, I've often said, like, if a Russian journalist is killed in Russia, then they are celebrated across the West. They are remembered for decades to come. They are given every posthumous award imaginable and recognition imaginable. If a Western dissident journalist is killed, it was a suicide, it's an overdose, it's a car accident, and nothing more is ever to be said about them. That's just how it is. We become non-people. They turn us into non-people, and they deny the significance of our work. So that's just the catch-22. If you're from a country that they don't like and you're killed for your work, then you know you'll be on the front page of the New York Times. And if you're from America or a Western country and you're a dissident journalist, they will pretend that you never existed, no matter what happens to you. It's just a sad fact. Thank you, Shelley. Totalitarian TV, you're spot on about Gary Webb. Exactly.
Absolutely. That is the perfect prime example of that, of what Suzie's speaking about, for sure. Yeah, well.
Hope says it won't happen to me. I can never say what will or won't happen to me. Nobody knows what will happen to them. What I can tell you is that I was highly motivated by Michael Hastings' murder. And I'm highly motivated by Serena Shim's murder. And I have faith in two things. One is that if I am killed for my work, that it will piss off a lot of people. And not only will it piss them off, but it will motivate them to pick up that torch and run with it. Definitely, I know that for a fact. There are many people in my life who would be massively incensed and massively motivated if something was to happen to me. The second thing is that the best way, I put a tweet out about this, and about Marielle Franco in Brazil, the activist and Rio de Janeiro city councillor who was assassinated earlier this month. I put out a tweet that said, if someone gives their life for their work, the best homage that you can pay them is to continue that work. And now we see that as a result of her assassination, massive light is being shed on extrajudicial police killings in Brazil. So when they do kill a journalist, or an advocate or an activist, or, you know, when they assassinate anyone of note about any issue, invariably they end up bringing a ton more attention onto that issue. So there you go. If anything ever does happen to me, I want you guys to study every single other freaking Snowden document and tell everybody about it and share all my videos. Pick up where I left off.